requirements, considerations, and the application process here at the U of A. Feel free to type any of your questions in the chat, and as mentioned, I will get to them after the two presentations, and I'd be happy to answer them as many as I can. So where exactly is the University of Alberta? We are located in northern Alberta. We are west of Canada, although not close to Vancouver in Canadian context. We're about 330 kilometers from Calgary, the next main large city in Alberta, and we're the second province western in from the Pacific Ocean. Edmonton specifically, we are Alberta's capital city. We have about 1 million people, and we are a major economic hub, not just for Alberta, but for Western Canada and Canada as a whole. The city of Edmonton is a clean and very safe environment, and for a larger city, it does have a lower cost of living in Canadian standards. Alberta is one of Canada's top energy producers throughout the country. We have a strong economy with high salaries, and of course, you can see the beautiful Rocky Mountains, which are not only our top tourist attraction, but we have many other beautiful natural environments in Alberta. The University of Alberta, some fast facts for you here. We are ranked in top 100 universities worldwide, and we are consistently ranked in the top 5 in Canada. We are number 82 worldwide for graduate employment, and we are ranked 51 most international universities in the world. We have 18 faculties and over 500 different graduate research programs. Our population of the university, including undergraduates, is about 39,500 students. 15% of that is international students. And we have the second highest research funding in Canada. So that means as a graduate student at the U of A, you have opportunities to earn research and funding opportunity and experience while you're studying. We do have world-class facilities at the University of Alberta, and some, just to name a few, we have the National Institute for Nanotechnology, which is an interdisciplinary lab. We have the Centennial Center for Interdisciplinary Sciences. We have Edmonton Clinic Health Academy. We have the second largest library collection. We have a teaching hospital here on campus, and over 400 research laboratories, just to name a few. So specifically, I work in the sponsored student program, and that is somewhat unique to Canadian universities. So what I do is I work with students who are looking for international scholarships. So to be considered a sponsored student, it'd be an international student who is funded by their home country or institution. So some of these may include CONACYT, CENACYT, and there's many others in Latin American and Central American countries. So our sponsored student program, we have a dedicated staff that helps these students who have sponsorship or are currently seeking to apply for a scholarship. And we ensure that they have success here on campus to try to get all the information they need to put in a successful application. And while on campus, we also work with the sponsors and we work with current students as well. So some of the things that I do in my role as a student coordinator with sponsored student program is I assess if a potential applicant will meet the admission requirements. If you're missing anything, if you have any questions about the application process and you're interested in a scholarship from your home country, you can contact me directly. One thing that is very unique to the sponsored student program is we help students find professors. And this can be a really great introduction because we already are working on campus, so we have some relationships with professors, and it can be a lot easier for students to get to know professors rather than just a blind email without knowing much about the student. And as I mentioned, during academic studies, we also continue to support sponsored students with communication, with invoicing, with program requirements. So overall, we're a centralized unit that helps support students with scholarship from their home country. As mentioned, we have 18 different faculties here at the University of Alberta, and I'll just quickly go through them just for you to hear, although they are on the screen. So we have Agriculture, Life and Environmental Sciences, the Faculty of Arts, Education, Engineering, kinesiology, sport and recreation, native studies, nursing, law, medicine and dentistry, public health, rehabilitation med, science. We have a French campus that encompasses many arts and sciences, Campus Saint-Jean, and we have a business faculty and pharmacy of pharmaceutical sciences. We have two types of postgraduate degrees that may interest you here attending the webinar. We have master's degrees, which can be thesis-based or course-based. They can be professional or research-oriented. A thesis-based master degree, it includes some coursework and a main thesis project or research that you would defend at the end of your program. And a course-based program is you take all coursework required and you will have a final capstone project. Master's degrees normally take 1 to 2.5 years, though keep in mind an average is 2 years to complete a master's degree. So this can be very different from other countries. Because we are research intensive, many of our master's degrees are thesis-based, so they can take 2 to 2.5 years, on average 2 years for a master's degree. We have our doctoral degrees, so our PhDs, our doctoral in music, our doctoral in education, and these are all research-based, and they would include coursework, a candidacy exam, and then at the end of your program, you would defend your research and thesis. Again, this can differ from country to country, but here at the University of Alberta, our PhD programs generally take 4 to 6 years, on average 4 to 4.5. Generally, these are related to your master's degree, though not necessarily, but if you have a strong connection to industry or to professors and research, there can be some crossover between disciplines. We do have some direct entry course PhD programs, though most of our departments will not require, but recommend that you take a master's degree beforehand, unless you have a lot of publications or research. We do have direct entry for certain programs. So once you have decided that you're going to look a little bit more into the U of A and you want to find your program, as mentioned, we have 500 different programs. So a lot of people ask when I travel for the university, do you have this? Do you have this program? What can I study at the U of A? And my response is generally, what would you like to study? Because of our just immense and diverse disciplines across campus, the question is more so, what would you like to study? Because it's more than likely that we have something for you. So I would advise you to first begin your program search at our admissions, ualberta.ca/admissions-programs. And once you've found that specific program that you're interested in, one thing I really would like to stress is that the most important part at our University of Alberta website is to take a look at the department-specific webpage. So for instance, if you're looking at engineering, we will have different web pages for every department in engineering. So you want to specifically look at, say, mechanical engineering, and that webpage will have all the requirements, deadlines, and other department-specific information. And it's very important that you look at these websites first so you can gain the most up-to-date and accurate information. The minimum admission requirements for the University of Alberta, as set by our Faculty of Graduate Studies, is a minimum GPA of 4 out of 5 for Columbia, I believe, or a 3 out of 4. In the last 2 years of full-time studies. So it's about 60 credits that we're looking at. And you must present an English language proficiency score. The most popular are IELTS, and that total score needs to be 6.5, or a TOEFL IBT at a total score of 90. For our potential applicants in Mexico, please take note, it's the IBT. We do get some confusion, but the University of Alberta does not accept the IPT. So please note, these are actually only our minimum standards. So again, as I just highlighted, to look at your specific department webpage, competitive areas may have higher admission requirements, but these will vary from department to department. And the minimum set, in order to be eligible for most programs at the university, you must meet that 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 5, and your IELTS or TOEFL of 90 and IELTS of 6.5. So now that you've had a look at our beautiful campus there in the photos, you're understanding what programs and departments we offer here at the University of Alberta, some things to consider are you're collecting your documents. So on average, a application can take anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks to get everything completed. It can even take longer if you're having an interview with a professor or if you're really looking into specific research areas. So always, we like to say the sooner the better. If you can start collecting these documents, start contacting with me here at the Sponsored Student Program, it's always better to get everything organized beforehand as opposed to last minute. So typical required documents that you will need for the University of Alberta, you will need an updated academic CV. You will need your university transcripts and degree certificate. These must be from every institution you have studied at, not just where you got your degree. And you must have an original copy as well as an English translation if the original is not English. You're going to collect your English test score. You're going to write a statement of research interest or statement of research intent. This can be useful for reaching out to professors as well. Generally, most departments will require this in their admission application. You will have to have 3 letters of reference. And please note the university reference system is a little bit different than others. So actually, it's an online form that will be sent to your references upon application. So once you submit your application, the reference request will go out to your professors and your references. They'll submit it and it will get uploaded into your application. So though they can have an admission, a reference letter, they still will need to upload it through the online request form that they will receive via email. As well, some departments will have additional requirements such as the GRE or the GMAT. So again, because it's so different between departments, your first point of contact will always be your specific department webpage. If you have any hesitations or concerns, you can always contact me. So as I mentioned, your statement of intent is something very important both for your admission application, but also to find a supervisor. Because we are a research-intensive university, many of the thesis-based programs, master's and PhD, will require you to find your supervisor in advance before applying. So something to think about when approaching professors. If you're sponsored, I can be of assistance and I can help introduce you and collect all the necessary documents. If you won't be sponsored, that's totally fine. You can actually inquire about scholarships and funding through the professors themselves, as many professors have a lot of funding for projects specific to their research and their labs. But when doing this, know that it's a very formal setting that you will that you will send your interest to these professors. So generally, our professors receive anywhere from 5 to 10 requests a week from international and Canadian students looking for a professor. So it is good that you make a good impression on your first email. So when emailing professors that you don't have very much contact with, maybe you didn't know them prior, you should include your CV, your transcripts, your statement of intent, and you can also make yourself available for an interview or a chat so that they can understand your research area better, as well they can make sure that you can meet the English language. So the statement of intent, because this is very important to secure a professor, and many departments require that you secure a professor before you can apply. I just wanted to include this, and I will send this out to Caldo so that if needed, you guys can refer back to the presentation. So a statement of intent should only be 1 to 2 pages long. It shouldn't be a research proposal. That's a mistake that many students will make. The professors don't have that much time to go through an entire research proposal until they know that they are going to supervise you. So a very brief and succinct 1 to 2 pages. You need to talk about why you want to work with that professor and how their interests, how their research interests you and how it connects with your interests. You also would like to let them know about your academic background, your experiences, publications, your goals after completing graduate studies and throughout graduate studies. And one thing I can't stress enough is do not write one general statement for all professors and send it to every professor in the department. Our departments are working closely with professors and each other, and because they receive so many, they know right away when one is a general statement. So we really encourage students who are contacting professors to really make your letter of intent and your formal email to be as specific to that professor as possible. Another thing to consider, just to keep you thinking here about the University of Alberta, is to check those department websites to find out if you're required to find a supervisor before or once you're in your program. Majority of programs, especially in engineering, you are required to find a supervisor before if your program is thesis-based. If it's course-based, you can simply meet the requirements and apply. You have to find out if you're required to write a GRE or a GMAT. Very few programs have this as a requirement, but there are a few, so keep in mind. Also, one thing to consider that's a little bit different for each faculty and department is the admission intake. So some faculties only will have an intake for fall, for September start, whereas other faculties, so for example, the Faculty of Arts has one intake. So the deadline is January 15th, always, and the start date is the fall, the September semester. Whereas engineering has 2 start dates where they will admit students in the fall and the winter. Medicine and dentistry has 4 where they will consider 4 intakes. So they will consider fall, winter, spring, and summer. So it's really important that you look at this well in advance to make sure that you know exactly when the department you're interested in applying for will be open for applications. As well, if you don't meet the English language or if you're considering a few other requirements, you can look in to see whether the program offers conditional admissions, which by meaning they will admit you on the basis of you completing English language or on the basis of you completing your master's thesis if you're applying for a PhD. Keep in mind, our departments are receiving more and more applications, and the interest for the University of Alberta is always growing. So many departments no longer offer conditional admissions. So it's always better to meet all the requirements before applying. So once you've got to the point where I've kind of gone through number 1, how to apply, to look at the programs, admission requirements, and deadlines. Secondly, once you've collected all the documents, everything we've been through, you can submit your application online. The best thing about our system is it's wholly online. You don't have to submit a hard copy document until you know you've been admitted. And generally, international students will deliver these hard copies in person, so it can save a lot of stress for putting official documents in the mail. Submit your application as soon as possible, as early as you can. Generally, the high intake for applications begins in December and it runs till about February, March. So right now we're kind of in the highest peak of admissions and applications at the moment. And last, once you receive your decision, if you were admitted, you can apply for a study permit and you can get your everything started to go and join the University of Alberta. So again, just to reiterate, maybe I went through a lot of technical details, but again, just a brief overview of why the University of Alberta. We are a highly ranked and internationally recognized university. We have a high research funding budget. So if you don't get scholarship from your home country, there is possibilities that you can find funding within your department and through your specific supervisor. If you are looking for a scholarship from your home country, we do have the dedicated sponsored student program, of which I'm a part of. And I would be more than happy to reach out to you or leave my contact information at the end, and we can, right after this, we can continue talking. One thing that's very nice, I didn't mention it, but we do have a competitive and guaranteed tuition rate. So even throughout Canada, our tuition, is relatively low and affordable. And again, we're among the best in Canada for post-graduation employment. So we want you to come to the University of Alberta to enjoy and get that experience and take it elsewhere to your career. Here is my contact information. You can find the general homepage at uab.ca. Again, you can look for the programs and the program admission finder. And if you'd like to email me specifically, I am at joby.wills@ualberta.ca. Thank you very much, and I look forward to answering your questions at the end.
Thank you, Joby. Now I would like to introduce Marushka Maud Brisbois, representative at Université de Laval.
Fernanda, thank you for your introduction. I hope you all understand, you all hear me well. So, buenas tardes, boa tarde, good afternoon, bon après-midi à tous. Merci d'être présent. Thank you for attending this webinar. Again, my name is Marushka Maud Brisbois. I am Student Information Specialist. It'll be my pleasure to be with you for the next 30 minutes to present Laval University, which is located in Quebec City, and give you an overview of our admission process. First, I'll give you a quick glance of Quebec City. Then I will present you an overview of what our graduate studies looks like at Laval University. Quebec City is located on the shores of the St. Lawrence River on the east coast of Canada. It's one of the oldest cities in North America. It was founded in the early 17th century. It is a city with a European charm, and is the capital of the province of Quebec. It is located north of Montreal. The city counts nearly 1 million inhabitants. The old city is recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is a cultural and technological center. The city stands out for its expertise in electronic and optic photonics, life sciences, health technology, food and nutrition, information and communication technology, video games and digital solutions, insurances and financial services. We also have a festival year-round, with the most famous one, which is the Festival d'été de Québec. We are proud of our large green spaces, a few minutes from the city centers, and according to the Travel and Leisure, it's the best city in Canada, one of the safest cities in the country, and it has a high employment rate of 95%. Oops, sorry. Laval University was established more than 350 years ago. It's the first French language university in North America and within the top 20 in the world. Whoops, go down. We have notable graduates. More than 1,000 of our graduates have been appointed Prime Minister of Canada or Premier of Quebec. The most known one are Jean Chrétien, Brian Mulroney, Louis Garneau, Fernand Labrie. And if we look at the Université de Laval in brief, we have 43,000 students, among which 26% are at the graduate level. 7,000 international students coming from 120 countries. We have 17 faculties, 500 study program, 3,825 professors, lecturers, and others teaching and research staff. We offer a scholarship to 1 out of 4 students, and we're ranked 3rd in Canada for student satisfaction following according Maclean. Since the beginning, Université Laval has graduated more than 300,000 students, and of course you could be the next. So let me give you, let me hear like few images of our campus. We have, we're proud of our green campus of an area of 1.8 kilometers square. It is, you see, we have 40 buildings connected with by footpaths of and more than 5 kilometers of underground tunnels. You will see next a classroom. This is a typical trading room. You have also regular classroom, laboratories, public space, etc. And if we go through our academic offer, we offer more than 500 programs in all areas of knowledge, among which 260 are at the graduate level. We offer programs in all areas like health sciences, science, technology, and engineering, forest sciences and agriculture, social sciences, humanities, and political sciences, law, education, administrative sciences, art, literatures, and languages. Most of our bachelor's and professional masters include a professional or in the field training. You can also add one of the 5 student profile to your academic path, which are sustainable development, honors, entrepreneurial, international, and research. We have agreement with 600 institutions of higher learning in various organizations in 77 countries. And each year, more than 900 of our students study abroad, and as I said earlier, 7,000 international students come to Quebec City to pursue a study program. Other facts, this time related to our research excellence. Université Laval is one of the top 10 best research universities in Canada. We have more than 275 research centers, chairs, institute, and other groups. 4 Canada Research Excellence chairs. Each year we receive 403 million in research funds. We have been awarded 98 million by the Canadian government to the development of the Sentinel North, which is a multidisciplinary research program in Arctic science, optic, and photonic, cardiometabolic, and mental health. Just go next. So let me name out a few of our major research projects and facilities. We have Alliance Santé Québec, which is a partnership in the health and social services in the greater Quebec City area. We have the International Observatory on the societal impacts of artificial intelligence and digital technology. And we have the Alliance Culture et Numérique, which is the link between culture and digital technology. Other major research projects, Sentinel North, as I mentioned earlier, which group together experts in the areas of northern research, optics, photonics, and health. We also have the Institut Nordique de Québec. And we're proud of our 4 Canadian Excellence Research Chairs and Photonic Innovation for Information and Communications, and the one which is in metabolic health and neurophotonics and remote sensing of Canada's new Arctic frontier. Let me show you some of our unique facilities. We have the Center for Optics, Photonics, and Laser, which have 5 research trusts in fiber optics, guided wave optics, lasers, and short pulses, optical communication, biophotonics, photonics material. And we also have the nutraceuticals and functional food institute. The Centre d'Apprentissage in the Health Sciences Complex and Cerveau-Brain Research Centers. We are also proud of our laboratory for new images, sound, and stage technologies, FERAC Consortium, Institut Hydro-Québec en Environnement, Développement et Société, and the Convergence Network of Geospatial Intelligence for Innovation. In complement to all our study programs, outstanding research, and unique facilities, Université Laval offers a wide array of services to make sure students adapt to their university life and develop their skills and interests to maximum. So you see here some of our services, libraries that offer more than 6 million books and online resources, medical clinic on campus, personal and professional orientation. We have more 4 buildings totaling 2,300 rooms that for the student residences. We offer social activities, sportive activities, scholarships and financial support, employment services, and we have a free Wi-Fi on campus. We also have one of the biggest sports complex in Canada, and with a state-of-the-art gym on 3 floors, 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools, 2 ice rinks, 1 indoor football stadium, and 1 American football stadium. International students is at the heart of our priorities. So you can, if you come studying at Laval, you can take advantages of our welcome services, the Student Buddy Program, International Student Handbook, Discover Quebec City Activity Program, and we offer also conference on topics such as adapting to a new culture, introducing to Quebec culture, clothing and advice for winter season. Since we are a French language university, we offer French courses and workshops to help international students improve their French skills. So we offer workshops that Dream in French that comes with financial supports, and we offer also conferences to help students develop their skills at the graduate level. To adapt to the studies that they graduate for master and PhD. Regarding the tuition fees, if you come at the master degree, you'll need the estimated budget for a year is about $28,000. If you come at the PhD level, we offer the exemption scholarship, so that will the fees, the estimated budget, and the academy, the tuition fees will go down to $2,800, and per year you will need $16,000 to cover all expenses. Admission process. We have split the process into 7 major steps. First is select your program. Second, prepare your application. Third, apply for admission. Fourth, find the financial resources. Apply for the Quebec Acceptance Certificate and the study permit. And then you subscribe to the mandatory health and hospital insurance. And of course, you reserve your flight ticket, your room and residence. First, select your programs. The admission requirements depends on each program. We have on our institutional website, we have a study section with a research browser, so you can find all our study programs. So you browse by program description, and you see the admission requirements for each program. But basically, for a master, you will need to hold an undergraduate degree, and for a PhD, to hold a graduate degree. Prepare your application. Of course, in some masters with research-based masters and PhD, you will have to find a research topic and a supervisor prior to submitting your application. This means that you have to get in contact with research or professors prior to submitting an application. Here are some tips before you contact faculty members. You make sure to personalize your messages to professors. You contact only those whose research interests overlap the most with your interest and previous research experience. It is also a good idea to read some of the professors' recent publications or some recent work by their students before contacting them. And of course, the message should always include an explanation of why you would like to work with that particular professor, your university experience, your CV, academic records, a cover letter, one or two recommendation letters. Third, once you have for research-based masters and PhD, once you have found your research supervisor, you can submit an application. You fill up the online application and upload all required documents. For instance, most of our graduate programs require to forward the academic records and diploma, motivation letter, resume, reference letters, proof of acceptance from the research supervisor. You pay the application fee, and then at the end, if you have an admission offer, so then you accept your admission offer. Financial resources. I put a list of the scholarship that we offer at Laval University. It's all open. This scholarship are all open to international students. We have this supplemental tuition fee exemption that is automatically applied at the PhD level. The doctoral admission scholarships, the Citizens of the World Excellence Scholarship, the Merit Scholarships program, and we also have the professor also provide funds to students, and we offer it's by faculty graduate studies awards. Of course, you can also work on campus and off campus up to 20 hours per week during regular semesters and full-time during vacation. And we also have the agreement through CALDO Consortium for the major national scholarship agencies in Latin America. Find out about the immigration procedures. If you come to Quebec province, you will have to fulfill two steps. You have to submit a Quebec acceptance certificate first, and then after the study permit at the federal level, on the Canadian level. Basically, this is it. If you have any questions, it'll be a pleasure to answer you in any languages. We can be in Spanish, French, or English. I also want to inform you that we're going to be in Latin America from this winter and early spring. So here you see the days where we're gonna hold an admission day. So you can come either to register to Mexico City, Rio de Janeiro, Sao Paulo, Medellin, or Bogota. So if you click on the link, you have a form, so you can fill it up to register to any of our events. Otherwise, you can also check out all the fairs that we're going to be participating this winter if you click on UL on the road. So thanks a lot for your attention. Gracias por su atención. And if you have any questions, it'll be my pleasure to reply to you.
Thank you, Marushka. So now it's time for Q&A. So if you have any questions, either general or specific, you can please write them down in the chat. Joby and Marushka will answer them for you.
Fernanda, how does it work for the questions? Do we reply as soon as we see one? We reply on the chat or verbally?
You and Joby basically will just scroll through the chat and select which questions you guys want to answer.
Okay. Okay, so I'll reply to Pablo Ruggiero. Encantada de conocerlo. Habló bien español también. Is it? I missed your question. ¿Me puedes repetir la pregunta en el chat, por favor, Pablo?
While Pablo writing, I can answer a couple questions that were directed to the University of Alberta. One specifically about your translation. I believe it was Juliana from Mexico. For the University of Alberta, to be considered a official translation, it needs to be stamped and signed by a translator. So it can be translated within Mexico and brought here to the U of A. But it has to have an official stamp and signature.
Bueno, voy a contestar a la pregunta de Pablo, que pregunta cuál nivel de francés se necesita para hacer una solicitud de admisión en el programa de MBA. Se necesita el nivel entre intermedio avanzado de francés. El puntaje, el resultado del test de TFI sería de 750 sobre 990. Y si tiene algún contacto con la universidad en Ciudad de Quebec. Bueno, fue la persona encargada del reclutamiento y toda la promoción de los programas de estudios en Latinoamérica. Entonces me podría como enviar un correo electrónico si tienes pregunta más personal. Tal vez olvide mencionar mi correo electrónico, lo voy a escribir en el chat.
Great. I have an answer for there has been a couple for English language, and thank you for bringing that up. I didn't actually mention that in my presentation. The University of Alberta does have an English language school associated. However, the English language proficiency is not always accepted. So, for example, some of the programs that have higher English language requirement than the general set by the faculty, you would still need to present an IELTS or a TOEFL, but we do have a English for academic purposes that will certainly help you improve your English and meet that higher TOEFL or IELTS score, or there are direct entry by meeting the English language proficiency. If you are interested in learning more about the English language school, I would suggest contact me directly, just to understand whether or not you still need to submit a TOEFL or an IELTS, but we do offer a English language school with the University of Alberta. And I can answer another question about, it was, I believe it was Cristina Hernandez who wrote about the GRE and the GMAT. It depends very much on what program you're interested in applying to. The majority of our programs do not require that you write a GRE or a GMAT, but there are still a handful of departments that require this exam upon your application. Just for an example, the Department of Economics, the School of Business, and a few departments in the Resource Economics department also require a GMAT and a GRE. So again, looking at that department website is your first point of contact, and it will be specific in whether or not a GRE or a GMAT is required. And I can speak to, if it's okay, Mariska, if it's okay if I can still go on. I can speak to, I'm sorry, it's hard to view, but the applicant who applied for a PhD in petroleum engineering. It depends if you are asking about applying again. It depends if you have the supervisor support. If you have the supervisor support, there could be a chance to apply again. But I would also just double check and ensure that you meet the admission requirements. So if your GPA falls lower than the average or the required score for the department, it may be difficult to apply again. But if you can find the support of your supervisor here at the U of A and you do meet those requirements, there would be a chance that you could apply again. And sorry if I'm taking up too much space, please just interrupt me and I'll be quiet. A question about a potential applicant from Senasi, from Quito, Ecuador. Yes, we do have a agreement with Senasit. So something to keep in mind, our agreements in all of the CALDO countries that are associated with our consortium are for thesis-based only. So you cannot get the co-agreement and the tuition agreement if you are in a course-based program. So for Senasit, absolutely, we have a co-agreement. So if you are awarded the Senasit scholarship and you're enrolled in a thesis-based program, we will offer you a discount in tuition where you'll pay actually the domestic rate. You will be waived the international fees. I can answer a question. I'm just reading up. Sorry, for Patricio. It is possible to get acceptance, a quick acceptance, but that would require that you meet all of the admission requirements. And depending on the timeline for the Becas Chile, we can communicate. So Patricio, I would recommend you reach out to me directly. I'll leave my email in the chat again. But if you meet, assuming you meet the admission requirements and you are wanting to apply for a scholarship, we can be in touch to find a potential supervisor and apply as soon as possible.
Me voy a contestar a la pregunta de Laura Fernanda, no que se refiere a las becas para las colegiaturas. Sí, bueno, tenemos la lista de nuestras becas al nivel de las maestrías y doctorados. Hay la reducción de la colegiatura que viene de manera automática, se llama the Supplemental Tuition Fee Exemption, y se aplica al nivel doctorado. Entonces, en lugar de pagar la colegiatura internacional, paga doméstica para los estudiantes internacionales.
Enrique, I can speak to your question about the EAP 550. And for those listening, EAP is English for Academic Purposes. So this is in our school of our English language school. If you would like to email me directly, I can let you know because it depends on the department. So a rule of thumb, if the department has a higher English language than that of the general admission, so what was in my presentation, some departments will actually have a higher English language requirement. If the language requirement is higher than the general admission, there's a good chance that you couldn't use your EAP 550 for admission. It's a little bit complicated because not every department accepts the English language from our English language school. So please email me directly and I can put you in touch with the appropriate information. And Alvaro, I can speak to the university. You asked for both, so I'll just speak to the U of A. It looks, just from a quick standpoint, it looks like you would have a lot of experience and you would be a competitive applicant. But again, you still need to meet all of the admission requirements for the School of Business. So the School of Business is one that has the particular requirement of a GRE or a GMAT. As well, you would have to meet the English language requirement, which is, I believe, a 6.5 or a 7 in IELTS. Please look at the actual department webpage for the real concrete information. But just at first glance, yeah, you look like a really competitive applicant. We would just need to make sure that you meet all the admission requirements. But other than that, you look promising.
Otra vez voy a contestar en español a Pablo. Sí, podemos hacer una carta de admisión condicional a alcanzar un nivel avanzado, por ejemplo, de francés. Sí, se puede hacer.
Thank you for your question, Elvis. That's a great point. Our university, our Faculty of Graduate Studies, if you go onto the Faculty of Graduate Studies webpage, they have actually done all that work and they have converted all the countries. So for Peru, it will give you a exact conversion of what is the required score. And so if you go into the Faculty of Graduate Studies, you can search FGSR on the U Alberta homepage and look into prospective applicants or prospective students. It will give you a academic GPA conversion by country. That's a great question.
I'm gonna reply to, what is his name? I've seen it. La persona que vive ya en la ciudad de Quebec, que le gustaría como pasar en nuestra oficina para tener una cita. Bueno, entonces le puedo dar la dirección de la oficina, de nuestra oficina, si tienes algún contacto. Le voy a escribir en el chat nuestra dirección y puede pasar cualquier día para encontrarnos y hablar de su proyecto de estudios.
Yeah, and there has been a few questions about contacting us, University of Alberta, or contacting the university directly or going through Caldo. Caldo is a great resource to help you navigate scholarships, scholarship requirements, timelines. So you are always welcome to reach out to Caldo to get more information about your detailed scholarship. For admission questions, you can turn your questions over to me. So really, whichever way, Caldo is there to support you in any way and assessing your documents as well. So you can first reach out to Caldo if you have any general doubts about your scholarship. And if you are to the point where you're interested in applying at the University of Alberta or you have questions about the specific departments or programs, please feel free to contact me. You're most welcome. I can answer the last question from Federico. That's okay if you're still in your undergrad program and you will want to apply for a master's or a PhD before you finish your program. What you should do is submit all your transcripts up to the date of applying. As well, many universities will issue a letter that will indicate when you will graduate, and that would be sufficient for your first application. Of course, if you gain admission to the University of Alberta, you will have to submit your degree once you receive it. But if you give a updated transcript with your registration and all your current courses, and usually a letter you can supply on your application, the letter stating when you will graduate. Usually it's from your registrar's office or your main central office. That should be enough to apply to the university before you finish your program. I believe we are coming to the end of the time for our webinar. Thank you everyone for listening to the University of Alberta. I hope I hope I was clear, but please always feel free to reach out with, I'll leave my contact information, but please feel free to reach out with any questions or concerns, and I would be more than happy to answer or also direct you to the correct person if you are looking for departments. Muito obrigada. Gracias a todos.
I joined my voice to Joby, so I'll put it in the chat so you have my email address. So feel free to contact me anytime for any further questions about the admission process. Come studying at Laval University. Thank you.